everybody. Thank you for joining the webinar today. I'm going to go right ahead and get started since we're right here at 1 o'clock. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to throw those into the question box, and I will answer them at the end. But we'll be going through a whole bunch of things between now and then. So just a quick introduction to myself. My name is Dave Eaton. I am the Regional Director of Scientific Partnerships here at Labster, specifically on the West Coast in the US. My goal today is just to kind of run through some of the Labster things, and we'll show you our course manager page and talk about how Labster can be used in a variety of different settings within your classrooms. And just an FYI, the broadcast will be recorded, or it is being recorded right now, and it will be sent to you at the end, and a rep will follow up with you, but feel free to ask me any questions that you might have in the interim. And it will also be sent to anybody that registered, so if you have any other colleagues or anything that weren't able to make it today, just know that they will also get the recording of this webinar. All right, so we're going to go over a brief Labster overview. We're going to talk about some information on Labster, how we're used in different courses, and the impact that Labster has had on institutions throughout the globe. And then we'll quickly walk you through our content. Labster is known for our virtual labs, but we're so much more than that. And so now I'm going to, and then I'll walk you through our ever-expanding platform. And then we'll go through questions and implementations, and then let you on your way. So as we're going through this webinar, I really do want you guys to be thinking about how could this be used in your courses. Think broadly, think your lectures. What are some challenges that you're facing right now, that your colleagues are facing? Do you have some areas that you wish that you could improve in your courses, and student outcomes that you wish you could improve? Do you have chairs, division chairs, heads of departments that are kind of asking you for certain metrics, engagement tools, things of that nature? And just kind of keep that top of mind as we go through the different bits and pieces of our Labster content today. So Labster was started about 10 years ago when our founder was a PhD student in Copenhagen teaching introductory science courses. He found that his students in the back row they really weren't as prepared as they should be, and he wanted to find creative ways to solve that. So from there, we've grown to a truly global team that serves millions of science students and thousands of universities across 100 different countries every single year. But part of what makes Labster really unique is that we were founded by scientists and educators, and that's still who we are today. Our mission is to empower the next generation of scientists to change the world, and everyone we hire and truly everything that we do happens through that lens. So whether it's in the class, in the lab, or at home, Labster is really working to make science engaging and accessible. We're the leading provider of virtual science courseware with over 200 lab simulations, image libraries, science videos, an entire platform of resources for educators and students to improve student results and experiences in the lecture, lab, and in almost any context in which you're teaching. As you can see some of these like really fantastic ways that Labster can be used, whether that's closing knowledge gaps, allowing students to access science education and lab education in the classroom, at home. We always say as long as you could load a 10-minute YouTube video, you can always play a Labster simulation. As I mentioned, Labster has now created an entire ecosystem of expanded learning resources. This includes 3D animation videos, thousands of science images, access to lab manuals, lab reports, theory pages, quiz questions, and teacher dashboards that are all accessible to you, whether that's through your learning management system or through our course manager system. You can truly build an entire learning experience around each simulation or use them as standalone assignments. Really mix and match them however you see fit to tailor Labster to your unique teaching needs, whether that's in person or online. Now, there's a couple studies that I'm going to run through really quickly for you. If you'd like to see these more in depth, reach out to the rep or respond to the rep that's going to reach out to you, and they can share these resources with you. Um, a study from BMC Medical Education showed that Labster's virtual lab simulations sig- statistically significantly improve knowledge, motivation, and self-efficacy for all student levels, but especially for low knowledge students. It really helped close that knowledge gap between students across the cohort. As a reminder, Labster can play students can play Labster at their own pace. They can save their place in the sim, check the theory pages, and repeat the experience as many times as they need. One of the pieces that I really like about this study as well is the self-efficacy piece that you can see on the right-hand side. That pre-test self-efficacy and post-test self-efficacy for those low knowledge students really increased by the post-test. So they were more confident, they felt better about the science education, and they were more prepared and able to do better on their tests and in their lab work as well. Now, this study by Nature Biotechnology in 2014 showed a big increase in knowledge for students using the virtual labs compared to those learning the same material via traditional lecture only. However, the biggest impact was when educators used Labster in combination with lectures. That resulted in a 101% increase in learning outcomes compared to lecture only. Not only did the use of virtual labs demonstrate the ability to significantly increase students' knowledge, in a retention test that was conducted 40 days later, we found statistically significantly that students retained all of that knowledge gained as a result of the experiment. And we've seen this again and again in peer-reviewed research and case studies. And I can share any of those. And again, that rep that reaches out to you can share any of those resources as well. Now, in a minute, I'm going to jump into our catalog, but I want to walk through this video pretty quickly. So at our core, we have about 218 gamified virtual labs across many different disciplines. They incorporate real experimental data and algorithms that allow students to change variables and observe outcomes the same way as they would in a real wet lab. Now, the simulations can take anywhere from 5 to 50 minutes to complete, and they can be paired with labs or lectures since they're both technique and concept focused. As I've mentioned, you can assign them however you see fit. Labs can really be used pre-lab, flipped classroom, hybrid learning, all of the above. When it comes to engagement, you can really think of Labster as an educational video game. Each simulation is built around a storyline that links the abstract theory and techniques to that real world application that really allows students to understand why this material matters. Whether they're solving a crime, helping a doctor diagnose a patient, or maybe they're going to Mars, helping astronauts on a mission, they come back into the lab and they're required to go through every step that they would in a real wet lab, including lab safety and lab protocol. In the simulations, Labster offers a deeper learning experience by incorporating those cellular and molecular animations, quiz questions, and theory material. And uh, outside of the simulations rather, Labster offers lab manuals, lab reports, quiz banks, and more to aid in your teaching. Now let's dive into the course manager here. So what you'll see here, and again, if you reach out to when the representative reaches out to you, they can go more in depth with this, but I'm just going to show you a brief overview. So this is our course manager, and you can see our different course packages here. Pricing is a la carte, so it's based on the number of simulations, not like, oh, well, I'm teaching cellular molecular biology and that's all that I need. If you found something in ecology and something to intro to bio, you kind of mix and match however you see fit. I'm going to scroll down here to our chemistry content. So if I click into our general chemistry package, you can see the simulations that we typically see associated with the general chemistry 1 and 2, as well as some related simulations that some professors find useful. When you click into the simulation, you'll see a brief overview that shows the kind of examples of acids and bases from the acids and bases from everyday life. It kind of gives you a brief overview of what's happening in the simulations. And then you see the lab techniques that are used there, as well as any standards that might be associated with that. If you click into the Read More tab, you can see all of these tabs here, which will open the lab manuals, lab reports. Those are all Google Docs that are in very varied translations if they're available in different translated languages. Like this one is German, Spanish, Italian, French, English. Also available in accessibility mode, which means there's a screen reader, or it's accessible for a screen reader, color blindness, and you can check out our VPAT on our website if that is important to you. All of our new simulations are released translated and in accessibility mode. Now, this page um, allows you to play a video so that you can see the lab rather than playing through it and having to click through each bit. This is Dr. One right here. She guides you through the entire simulation. You can also mute her if you would prefer to read rather than listening. Each time that you log into the simulations, it does ask you, have you played through something before? Would you like a refresher on how to navigate our simulations? You'll see here on the lab pad where everything happens. This home tab is where students are reading what is happening in front of them. What is the objectives right now? The theory tab is linked to OpenStax texts, and that's all of our simulations utilize that OER resource, but it's linked directly in the lab pad. So as they're getting questions asked along the way for that summative or that formative assessment rather than summative assessment, uh, the students are able to click into the theory, read about the question if they're not sure what the answer is to really get the question right, and then they're able to move on. So unless they get the question right, they're not able to move on. We do suggest that professors have their students go through the simulations at least 3 times, or give them the option to do 3 times, because it is that repetition, that productive failure that students are engaging in, that really gets them to grasp the material and to really enhance their learning. The media tab is any like images or graphs, things that they collect along the way to help them with their learning. And then the mission tab is what have they done thus far and where are they going from here. The mission tab also is because it saves along the way. So if you have students that, let's say they have a family, they're working on their homework assignment, they're working on this pre-lab, and then something happens with their children or something, they've got to close out of their simulation and go take care of that. It saves along the way and they're able to pick right back up where they left off. I'll just kind of skip around here quickly just to show you. You can see a question was just answered, and Dr. One is talking through some of that information. And this image that you can kind of see behind you is one of our holo tables in the simulations that allows students to manipulate molecules and other things that you couldn't necessarily do in a real wet lab. There we go. You can see just an image of that right now, image of the saving and how they're moving around the lab. In the interest of time, I'm going to go back to this and just kind of show you some of our just the different course packages that you can see where we're usually divided. Microbiology is a really fantastic, many people that I speak to, microbiology is a big use case for Labster. And we have partners all across the globe. If you're interested in hearing more about schools that maybe are doing things similar to yours, we can definitely connect you with different case studies. Or when you talk to the rep, they can take a look at your syllabus and say, here's some simulations that I would recommend that would really pair well with your learning objectives as is. See the chemistry again, some engineering content, um, medicine. We've got some really great physiology content, and more physiology and physics are growing by the day. We're constantly putting out more because, like I said, that we were founded by scientists and educators, we're run by scientists and educators. We listen to feedback from professors like you and work that into our product roadmap, because we really do want to provide a useful experience for you and your students. We're not just trying to provide something that is just a fluff filler piece. We really are trying to empower those next generation of scientists to change the world. Now, just another piece on how Labster works with your organization. We're not a textbook company. We are really try to make sure that we're giving you as best white glove service as we can. So you talk to a sales rep to begin the process, to really talk about what is your course, what could you use it for, how many students do you have, what is best for you and your institution. Then once you've worked that out, whether you're going with a learning management system integration, or if you're going with our course manager, which is that product that we just went through, um, then you work with an implementation manager who makes sure that you're all set up, that you've got the courses that you want, that you know how Labster works, and works with training on you on that as well. And then you have a customer success manager who's kind of your go-to person. If you're like, I'm having trouble pulling this report, or I would like to try this differently, what do you think about that? They're your go-to person for those questions. We also have a support 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. Student has problems late at night, they can go on to our help desk and get that technical help, either from our help desk or our um, being able to read through any articles and things like that that we have. So I've kind of buzzed through this pretty quickly. If you'd like me to go back to anything, please pop that into either the chat or ask any questions. I see that we've got one question that is, do these work on mobile devices? We are testing the mobile devices. That's still in beta testing, and it's definitely big on our product roadmap. But depending on your country, if you're US and EU, I don't believe that we have anybody that has access to mobile just yet. But as long as, like I said, as long as you're able to load a 5 to 10 minute YouTube video, and you would access it on Google Chrome or Firefox, or our preferred browsers, that is best way to access Labster at this point. But keep a look on at us in the coming years, because we're definitely moving towards trying to make sure that everything's mobile accessible as well. And if you don't think of a question right now, I'm gonna leave the floor open for some more questions, or if you'd like me to go back to any slides, I'm more than happy to do so. Um, right, I'll give us another minute to think of any questions. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to me if you haven't heard from a rep at deaton, E-A-T-O-N, at labster.com, and I'll connect you to the right person. But again, this webinar will be sent to you, and our sales reps will get notified that you did attend today. And should be reaching out to you. All right, everybody, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I look forward to partnering with you all in the future. Have a great day.